Alright, I'd like to do a video on my newest stove design. I've mentioned it, I think, in 2 other videos, but I actually haven't done a video on this particular stove. I'm going to call this stove my HD stove. And the reason is I use a computer hard drive platter to make this stove. Not very often I come across the 2.5-inch platter at my work, but every once in a while we come across the smaller 2.5-inch platter hard drives, and they're just small enough to make a stove out of. It makes such a shiny looking stove and just really cool design. So I want to show you a few features of this stove, and then hang around till the end of the video. I've got a surprise for my 100th video coming up very shortly. I think this is 97. 2 more and I'll have a 100th video, and on my 100th video I've got a surprise for everybody. So hang around till the end of this one and we'll hear about that surprise. I'm going to just line it up here a bit. Alright, so just to show you a few examples of what this thing has, it has your fill line, remote fill, with micro line that I have purchased from Mini Bull Design with 2 micro nipples. I did not purchase his micro nipple cap. I was not sure if it was going to work or not, but these plastic bottles that I have here work really well with that. I actually was able to just screw this in to this cap. It took a little bit of force, and I had to keep it tight in order to get the exact fit, but it doesn't leak a drop. And originally this is just one of these pop-tap caps. Well, you take this out, slice this piece off because you don't need it anymore, and it won't work anymore anyway, because when you screw the nipple into the hole here, it threads it, so the original cap will not punch down in anymore. So you've pretty much ruined the cap to it, but you have the nipple in there to seal it up. So that's my mini nipple fuel bottle. Purple, I have them in yellow and other colors, so they come in all colors. I get them at, I think, Target. I'm not positive where I got that one at. So this stove, I want to explain it a little bit. I took a hard drive platter, aluminum tube, which I've mentioned in my last video was just a flagpole that I had. Got a new flagpole, and the old one was dented at the bottom, so I went ahead and started slicing off. I think that's a 1-inch chunk right there. I actually polished it up. It looked really nice polished up. So I polished it up. I drilled a hole in it with a tap, so I could tap out the threads to the exact size of Tinny's micro nipple. I tested that on another piece of metal before I put it in here. I had to go out and buy some little black O-rings to put in here. Tinny doesn't ship them with O-rings, so you have to buy the O-rings separate. So I bought them at the hardware store and threaded that in there. Then I epoxy the hard drive cylinder to the aluminum, and then epoxied the aluminum pipe to this bottom piece, which I mentioned there was a little unique part about this. I'll show you the unique part right here. This stove has, and it's a strong one, a magnetic bottom. So if you have something metal that you want to cook on, you can just set it on the table. Now, it will slide on and off pretty easily, so you can also change the base from something light, like this real small piece of washer, to something much heavier, like this washer that you would play in a washer toss game, by simply switching it out if you're worried about your stove tipping over. So this is a really heavy base. This is a really light base. Doesn't matter, there's a hole in the bottom because I sealed the bottom of the pipe with epoxy as I sealed it to the magnet. So the magnet is permanently attached to the pipe with epoxy. And that's a pretty good seal. I guess test of time will tell us how strong of a seal it is and if it will last forever. So I'm just going to run it on the light one here. I don't know that it matters which one you run it on. I'm just going to run it on one while I run it, just for having it on there. You can run it completely without it if you want. You might get some dirt in the magnet if you're setting it directly on the ground, but it works really well like this. If you had heavier, rougher ground, you might put this one on there. So it's just an option for the stove. To fill it up, just like any other alcohol stove, you just squeeze some alcohol in there. I already had some in here. I did a test run on it to make sure it would work. So it shouldn't take a whole lot more to fill it up. This stove has 2 different burn settings on it, and I'll show you those in just a second here, once I get it filled up. This micro line does take a little longer to fill it up. It doesn't let as much alcohol travel through the line as the larger line. Don't know if I'm a big fan of one versus the other, but it does take just a little bit of time to push some alcohol through this little line. I've pushed through about, I don't know, what would you say, a little less than a ½ ounce so far. This will hold just about 3/4 of an ounce, and I can see we're already starting to get a little glossy. I don't know if you can see that from the camera, but once I see the glossiness all around, I kind of stop. In this mode, I'll tip it up so you can see, in this mode, the alcohol has a little bit of extra room to run off onto that metal plate if it needs to. And that is a metal plate, chromed metal plate, I believe is what they are. Not 100% on that because that would have data on it if you were actually an expert and could get it back off there. So feel free to try if you ever want to. But I'm not into trying to do that, so we just throw them away. So I'm going to put my hardware pot stand on there. And I have a Heineken pot here with my Lay's Stacks lid. I think it's the same lid as a Pringles can, or close to it. And the only reason that stays on, it doesn't really stay on the can without the lip ring on there. And just a generic lid on there. And I'm going to put that in there. And this pot stand that I have here, some offsets that go in that hold the pot at exactly that height. Going to light it up. And let it burn. So we're at 1354 there. Actually, that won't help us because I'm getting ready to shut the camera off. I'm not going to show you the whole burn. That would take a while. But it's a pretty good burn. Now, I mentioned they had two different settings. It's not greatly different. This is the lower setting that you would use if you're using Heineken can, Foster's can. That's about all that's going to fit in there. A smaller can would probably slide through these grips. And you'll notice there's an extra metal ring. Well, you can attach this on the outside ring to widen that up a little bit, and it'll wrap all the way out to the edge there. So you can get a larger flame for a can such as if you want to grow a little bit bigger flame on there, you can put a grease pot on top of there with that extra ring on there. Excuse me. It's really nice because sometimes you need that bigger wick to get the fire going faster on something you want to really get hot, and sometimes you don't. So as long as you don't overfill this, it won't run over the edge. But this is a flat plate, the metal plate that's on there, and the alcohol would run over the edge if you just kept squeezing. Drip on the ground, probably burn on the ground or burn around your fuel line, so you wouldn't want to over squeeze it. And as soon as it starts glowing orange a little bit, I will add some more fuel to it. You can see from where you're at probably that we didn't quite put an ounce in there. This is a 3-ounce bottle, I think's what these are indicated as. Let's see, this is a 3-ounce bottle here, and that's a little taller, so maybe 4 ounces. They're not exactly the same diameter though, so it's hard to say. This is a 4-ounce bottle, so you can't see it, it's not on the screen. That's a 4-ounce bottle, and so maybe it's a 4-ounce bottle. So if that's the case, then we've used just about an ounce. Like I said, about 3/4 of an ounce there. That is the tapered into the bottle. And we're getting a pretty good heat on there, going up the sides a lot. Now, this can is not wrapped with any kind of wick or anything like that. And it would need to be wrapped. Or you could stop in at Zelf Stoves and pick up one of his smack-on silicone wraps that slap on the can and let you grab it. You do not want to put those on while you're cooking because the silicone can melt in direct heat, in direct fire, but will withstand heat. So you could slap this on here after you blow the fire out with no problem. And actually you can put it on there right now as long as you were going to pick it up off the fire pretty quick. This can handle a little bit of flame, but not much. It's interesting. I've used it a few times. I like it. I don't know how long that wrap's going to last because of all the flexibility of this. Eventually, I think the wrap that's on it will eventually break off. But we'll see how long it lasts. Hopefully long enough that I can buy a new one before it breaks all the way down. So we're not really timing this. I'm going to pause the video. I'll be right back just when it gets to boil. Alright, I just want to show you a refueling. It's been going for about 6 minutes. We haven't gotten a boil. We have some bubbles, but not a fuel. So I'm going to show you how to refuel this. And it's not that hard. You just kind of squeeze it, and you got to go kind of slow. And you'll see it starting to creep out to the edges with the alcohol. You really want to take it slow. You don't want to push it over the edge and have it dripping off the side. So we're almost to the edge there on the fuel. It's, like I said, this micro line, it takes a little while to push all that fuel in. You got to put a little pressure. You can see I'm squeezing here pretty hard to get that fuel in there. And the thing is, as soon as you release it, it tries to suck back out some of the fuel you just shoved in. So there we go. And what I like to do is just release it and then release the pressure. Once you get it fueled up all the way, all that orange is gone, and you just gotta give it little taps here and there. And you'll notice the flame on this one actually will travel out the metal a little bit, but not very much. And I think we're probably at a boil now too. No, just a little bit of bubbles popping around there, not a full boil. I wasn't really timing it. I'm not interested in the time on it so much as I was just curious to see how it worked. This is my first full boil test on it. So we've definitely gone through an ounce of fuel, but I just kept feeding it in there until it was all the way full again. Yeah, at least an ounce of fuel. And the thing about not fiberglass, carbon felt is you won't get any of that fuel back. There's no way to suck it back in really. You can try, but you won't get much back in there. It kind of just absorbs into the wick, so you kind of let them have to burn out or just stay in their wick. They will evaporate. And I think, oops, there's a light boil in here now. Bubbles rising all over the place. Let me get a shot from the above. I'm going to loosen this up a little bit so that I can maneuver it. Oh, I guess I need to be out of the light a little bit too. Oh, maybe the camera needs to be out of the light too. Light source is the only one that's right above it. So you can see we have a light boil going on there. Nothing massive, but it's a working stove. It does a good job. On one fuel, it almost got there. It took an extra push to get it to the boil, but it's a really nice stove. I kind of like it. And the most part, the part I like about it the most is it is a complete do-it-yourself stove. And I say that, but I did get, there goes the rolling boil now. It is a complete do-it-yourself stove. However, I did buy a few items from Mini Bull Design. I bought the micro line and the micro nipples, both of them from Mini Bull Design. I bought the magnet. This is the magnet I purchased from a hardware store. So that came from the hardware store. The aluminum tube I had, the hard drive platter I got from dismantling them from at my work. Hardware cloth, I had a bunch of that laying around, and the Heineken cans are far and few between, but I just happen to have about 10 of them laying around. And these don't put your hand in boiling water. The lip guards I have a bunch of as well. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this cup and blow this out. Or maybe I'll try and blow it out while it's in the full flame here and see how hard it is to blow out. Okay, a little bit harder than that. That worked. Wasn't too bad. So I can either lift it by this little guard here, or I can take and use the, I'm trying to get a spot to smack it on here. Smack this on here and grab it with this, although it tends to stick to that, and pull it right out. So I wanted to say thanks to all my viewers by saying that I'm going to give away this stove to one of my viewers. And what we're going to do is, on my 100th video, I will pick one of my subscribers that comments on this video, on my next video, or my 100th video, any comment at all, appropriate comment, and I'm going to give this stove away as it is. However, I'm going to throw in this extra ring which allows the stove to expand out to the larger side. And you can see I'm grabbing this stove. There's not much heat to this stove the whole time it's cooking. It tends to stay pretty cool because all the flame is on the carbon felt. So I'm going to give this, and I say that and I'll probably burn my finger on it. It's warm to the touch. I won't say it's cool. The bottom is pretty cool. There's not a lot of heat on the bottom, but I can grab it here. So I'm going to give this stove away as you see it here. Nothing special. It is a do-it-yourself stove. So what I'm asking is, if you have a comment, I'd like to hear what you have to say about do-it-yourself stove makers. Do you think it's worth our time to sit here and do this? Is it a waste of our time since there's so many good stove makers out there now? Do you think we should continue to do ourselves, make the do-it-yourself stoves? Do you think that Tony will continue to sell the do-it-yourself stuff on his website? Are any of the other stove makers going to start selling the do-it-yourself stuff? Or do they already sell it, and will they continue? Or do they think that's cutting into their business by us doing it ourselves? So I just want to hear your opinion. Anybody can put a comment up there on this video, number 97, on my next video, 98, on the video after that, 99, or on the video after that, 100. So if you comment on any of those videos, I guess there's 4 since this will be number 97. If you comment on any one of those videos and you're a subscriber to my channel, so those are the stipulations. You must comment on one of the 4 videos. You must be a subscriber to the channel. Must be willing to give me your address so that I can ship it to you. I will not charge anything. I'll pay for the shipping, and I'll package it all up nice and neat. I'll take the fuel out because I can't ship fuel. I'm going to give this stove, as you see it, with the fuel and the fuel line. I'm going to give you this can, used can, after it's rinsed and dried out. I'm going to give you this lid, an actual lid that came off of the can. I am not giving up my Zelf. Oops, my Zelf thing. So this is not coming with it. I just got it and I like playing with it, so I'm going to keep that. I'm going to give you a pot stand. Probably not this one. It's pretty beat up. I might make one just like this. If I can't get one to look just like this, I'll give you this one. But this one's kind of beat up, so I'm going to try and build another one before then. I'm going to throw in the heavy washer, the light washer. I'm going to throw in the stacked glaze lid that fits on the pot. I will put, I laid it out a minute ago, I will put a new lip guard in there so you don't have to touch the lip guard of mine. You can take that off and throw it away, or I'll throw it away before I even send it because that's kind of nasty. I don't know if I've ever drinking out of this one or not, but I can't promise that I haven't. I most likely did because I drank every drop of beer out of every one of these cans. So if you want to wash it when you get it, that's your business. You can throw the can away for all I care. But I've always had a lip guard on there, and I will throw in an additional lip guard, your choice of color. Red, yellow, and white is all I have. So I'll throw in one of those lip guards. I'm going to throw in my newest windscreen here. It fits around this nicely. It's a little tight. There's currently no place for the gas line to go through. So when you get it, you may want to cut a little slot in here for that. But I'm not going to cut it in case you don't want it. This is a fold-up windscreen that I put a lot of time into. You can do what you want with it. I'm just going to put it in there. It's going to be part of the package.